dear students, today we are going to study about TS of mature anther. A typical anther is tetrasporangiate because it is made up of 4 sporangia, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In each anther, there are 4 sporangia present. That's why it is called a tetrasporangiate anther. TS of a mature anther shows the following parts. Number 1, anther wall. Number 2, anther cavity. And number 3, connective. This is the anther wall. The wall of the anther is considered as the anther wall. Inside the anther wall, the tapitum encloses a cavity, and that is the anther cavity. In the anther cavity only pollen grains are produced. The third one is connective. This is connective. Connective is a special type of tissue that connects the 4 sporangia together. That is connective. The anther wall. Anther cavity is surrounded by anther wall. A mature anther wall consists of the following structure: epidermis, endothelium, middle layer, and tapitum. There are 4 layers present in the anther wall. First one, epidermis. Second one, endothelium. Third one, middle layer. And fourth one, tapitum. The outermost layer is the epidermis, and the innermost layer is the tapitum. What is epidermis? Epidermis is a single layered one. Is the outermost layer, outermost protective layer that has protective function. That is epidermis. The outermost uniseriate layer. Here the cells are compactly arranged. It is seen very clearly. This is the outermost protective layer. Outermost wall layer of the anther is the epidermis. The epidermis has protection. It protects the internal parts of the anther. So that is epidermis. The second one, endothelium. Endothelium is the next layer present to the epidermis. Just below the epidermis, there is a single layered radially elongated cells found below the epidermis that is called endothelium. Inner tangential wall develops a band of cellulosic layer. Sometimes radial wall also contain slightly lignified cellulosic layer. Here in the endothelium, the cells are hygroscopic because they are water absorbing structure. Endothelium is often in the anthers of aquatic plants, saprophytes, clistogamous flowers, and extreme parasites. Clistogamous flowers are non-opening, self-pollinating flowers produced in pea plants, in peanuts. In the case of peanuts, that is groundnut. Extreme parasites, parasites which invade human and animals and cause damage for healthcare system. They are called extreme parasites. Over 1,200 species of parasites, extreme parasites are known. A band of cellulosic or lignification is often in the junction. So this is the junction between the 2 sporangia. At the junction of the 2 sporangia of the anther lobe, there are thin-walled cells that is called stomium. This is the stomium. What is stomium? A band of cellulose or lignification is absent in the junction of the two sporangia of an anther lobe. This region, this part is the stomium. Stomium consists of thin-walled cells. Dehiscence of anther takes place at the stomium at the maturity. So after maturity, the anther split open only at the point of stomium because the stomium contains thin-walled cells and liberates the pollen grains. Burst open and liberates the pollen grains out. So that part is the stomium. Next layer, middle layer, next to the endothelium, next to the epidermis, endothelium present. Next to the endothelium, middle layers present. Middle layers consists of 2 or 3 layers of cells next to the endothelium, that is referred as middle layers. Generally, the middle layers are ephemeral. Ephemerals are, they are temporary. They are having short life, so they are ephemerals. They will be disintegrated at maturity. The next layer, the fourth layer, is the tapitum. This is the tapitum, that is the innermost layer of the anther wall. The outermost layer of the anther wall is the epidermis. The innermost layer of the anther wall is the tapitum. Tapitum is the innermost wall layer of the anther. It is seen maximum development at the tetrad stage of microsporogenesis. It is formed partly from the peripheral wall layer and partly from the connective tissue lining the anther locule, anther cavity or anther locule. So tapitum is dual in origin because that is produced from two parts. So that is the dual in origin. The tapitum nourishes the developing sporogenous tissue, microspore mother cells and microspores. It gives food materials, it supplies food materials to the developing sporogenous tissue, microspore mother cells and also for microspores. The cells of the tapitum contains one nucleus or more than one nucleus, and the nucleus may be polyploid. Polyploid means that contain more than one set of chromosomes. When any cell contain more than one set of chromosomes, that is called polyploid. Here also in the tapitum, the nucleus may become polyploid. Tapitum contributes sporopollenin, pollen kit, tryphin, and a number of proteins which control incompatibility reactions. Tryphin means fibroglandular and lipidic component. Lipidic component means made up of lipid present on the surface of the pollen grain. That can be seen in the case of Raphanus. In Raphanus, the pollen grain, the outer surface of the pollen grain contain a fibrous granular structure and it is lipidic component, that is the tryphin. Tryphin can be seen very clearly in Raphanus. What is sporopollenin? Sporopollenin is the wall material of the pollen grain, major component of the XII. What is XII? It is outer covering of the pollen grain. Each pollen grain has two covering, outer covering and inner covering. Outer covering is called XII and inner covering is called intine. The major component of the XII is made up of sporopollenin. Chemically, the sporopollenin is very stable, usually well preserved. The sporopollenin can be well preserved in the soils and sediments. It protects the pollen grain from external damages such as rain, high temperature, etc. That is the main function of the sporopollenin. The sporopollenin protects the pollen grain from external damages such as rain, high temperature, etc. The pollen wall material derived from carotenoids and is resistant to physical and biological decomposition. Now we have to see the pollen kit. Pollen kit means pollen coat. The outer coat, outer covering of the pollen, that is the pollen kit. Pollen kit is a sticky outer covering of the pollen grains produced by the Anther Tapitum. Pollen kit is common in insect pollinated flowers. It facilitates pollen dispersal. That's about pollen kit. Pollen kit is a sticky outer covering of the pollen grain produced by the Anther tapitum. It is common in insect pollinated flowers and it facilitates pollen dispersal. So that's all about today's topic.